And I think the more complex the ambition is, the I guess the more complex the character is as well.
Yes,
like, I guess
that's true.
Kira from Death Note, his ambition was initially
Utopia.
to create Utopia, make sure that wrongdoers get their just desserts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it eventually got warped into him becoming a god, and anyone who stands in his way gotta die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but was it? Do you think it was his ambition got warped, or it was like a necessary step in order to create a utopia? How else do you create that world? You know, how else do you create that utopia? And you're the person with literally the ability to Thanos snap people you don't like, right? He developed a god complex, but it didn't feel like an irrational god complex.
Yeah, I think it definitely happened over time, because he convinced himself that he's doing a good thing, and a lot of people saying, yes, you're killing the hostage, the guy who's the kidnapper, you're killing this lady who almost got raped by these, bikers. You're killing good people who deserve to die. I think when L got involved, and he was willing to kill L, who didn't do anything wrong other than try to capture him. Yeah, I think that's when he started going on a slippery moral slope. But that change is believable, because in his head he's like, I'm doing the right thing, I'm killing the enemies, you're getting in my way
of killing the enemies.
But I think he got lost in the sauce.
It just feels so like, because he's such a smart character, it just felt so like, it felt so pragmatic. And maybe the reason why I'm thinking like this, maybe I should never get a Death book, so maybe I should never get a Death Note. But it just felt very pragmatic in terms of it, like, because like when I think of like a character with a god complex, I think of someone that's just like, is like they have the desire to rule over things, to control everything, but they don't seem like they're all together, like they don't see all the pieces connecting appropriately. Light, he just felt like such a smart character. It felt like everything felt OD objective. Like he even contemplated having to kill his own family at some points.
I think Light, because he was so smart, I think about characters with god complexes. There's a One Piece guy who had the lightning powers.
Okay, NL,
right?
Yep.
And because he had lightning powers, he couldn't physically be touched, and he had the power of lightning. Everything to him was inferior. Yeah. So it would make sense why he would think he's a god. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think Light, he had a similar strength in terms of his smart. Like, he was the #1 kid in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. His education level kind of separated him from the average person. Yeah. So I think even before he had the book, he kind of felt himself better than other people. And then when the Death Note fell to his hand, it kind of even heightened the idea of him being worthy. He said, of course the Death Note was given to me because I'm smart enough to wield this. I think that made his god complex really fortified. Yeah. Because I feel like there's certain things with Death Note that I find very interesting. Is that for one, it's hard for Light to feel like he's chosen, because we have the character of Ryuk, and Ryuk, if Light has any common sense, Ryuk is basically a clown. He's like, yo, it just so happened that you picked this shit up. I never assumed the Light was I was chosen to do this, but I do believe he had the idea of I'm the only one that can do this. I remember the first couple episodes where Light's personality changed once he knew what he could legit do with the Death Note. He was a lot more loving and
caring for his sister, and like he was like a lot more supportive of his family and stuff. But then once he got the Death Note, and he got to the first couple times where he actually like killed people with it, and he got past that shock, it was like almost like that revelation of like, oh my god, I can change the world. And so I feel like the difference between Light and Enel for me in terms of the god complex, I think comes back to the ambition, right? So Light's ambition was to create a utopian world, and his logic, his premises was like, hey, let's delete all of the bad people, and then use that fear of bad people being deleted to prevent people from making bad decisions. Versus Enel was just like God to be God.
Yeah, Light, he definitely, I think he killed the first couple people. He was like, yo, I could do anything with this. Ryuk shows up, and then he's like freaked out because he sees the Shinigami for the first time. And then he calms down and he's like, okay, these rules are interesting.
Yes.
These are the parameters of my rule. He went straight strategy after the initial fear. And I guess I would have to look back into Death Note. I feel like if Light was to think that he was a chosen one, then he would believe in some type of faith-based system.
Yes.
And I don't know if Light believed in a type of faith-based system. I said, or like destiny. I'm not sure if he said this is.
He might, Loki. He might have, because like towards the latter half, like once he beat L, he literally thought he was untouchable. Like he literally felt like, oh, no one. So
and they could have ended the show right there. They really could have ended the show right there, but you know, I understand. They had to get some more money, and
yeah,
he became a bad guy. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different, you know, like Attack on Titan. Aaron, I mean, do you read the manga?
I do not read the manga. I watch the anime. So
okay.
I'm up to season 4, latest episode of season 4.
What is the last thing you